All right, we should be up and running. Let me know if the sound is working. And I'll warn you now, it is raining a little bit outside. And I think that might be affecting the upload speed. I had a little bit of dropped frames right when I started. And the upload strength is kind of wavering a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we're going to work on the shaper. I've already done the base on this one. So just to retell the story a little bit, when I had shown previously, oh, I didn't do my intro again. Sorry. Welcome to Locator Gaming. I'm Zach. We're here to paint some minis for Earthborne Rangers. I get so caught up in making sure that the stream strength is working because for some reason it's very temperamental, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, this is Prodigy of the Floating Tower. So we will take a look at the card that I printed out, and hopefully there's not too much glare. This is just a piece of paper that's taped onto a worthless hockey card. How's that for high-tech accessories for the stream? So I wanted to do the shaper today so we can get a little bit more color into our team. We're going to have some red. This is a little more muted than I think we're going to end up. I think we're going to end up with a little bit brighter, at least on the highlights, for our Prodigy of the Floating Tower. I have an interesting idea for the staff too, because there's a little bit of purple, like hints of purple in this staff, and there's a thing that I like to do with the purple contrast paint. So we'll see how that comes out. Okay, back to my story. It's a short one. When I had prepped the minis, the Ranger minis, I'd put them up on Discord, and Andrew Navarro, he was just joking around with me, and he was like, "What, no floating rocks on the shaper?" And I was like, "Oh, floating rocks? That sounds like a good idea. Can I pull that off?" So I started messing around with it, and I wanted to make sure that I could do it before I painted the mini. So here we've got our floating rocks around the shaper. Normally the base would be like the last thing to work on. So we'll have to be a little bit careful in painting, or especially around the pants, that we don't get any of our colors and washes on our already completed base. But here are the other two members of our Ranger team thus far, and sorry the camera might shake a little for just a second while I get it zoomed in and ready for the painting up close. So here we go. We're adding to this team. We might throw a little bit of color onto our Tinkerer here too, if we find ourselves waiting for something to dry on our shaper here. So I'm going to start with an extremely dark, well, it's actually called black red. It'll be a solid color over most of the miniature. Then I'm going to dry brush a very bright highlight red onto it. Then we'll go over it with a red contrast color to act like a wash. So the brightness will get brought down a little bit, but we'll have some nice contrast between the dark color and the highlights. Then I think we'll dry brush it again, which means we'll probably have to do our hands and maybe even our face again. And we'll probably have to put a layer down of white onto the hair again if I want to use a... I think I want to use Gorgrunta fur for that hair color. End up with like a reddish brown hair. I know Chub Frog is probably just as excited, if not more excited than me for the cards that we saw yesterday, but oh man, this expansion is looking so sweet. Hey Chub Frog, do you know when they're going to record the next podcast? I want to get a question in before they record again. Speaker Shepherd and Speaker Traveler, but ended up going Shepherd. One more podcast during the game found? Okay. Yeah, I figured they were going to have another one just for, promotion and discussing, answering game found related questions. This is pretty watery. I wonder. Feels like all of it's pretty watery in there. I've had this paint forever. That looks a little thicker. That'll do. I just want to get a dark red down on the parts that are red. This is all about contrasting the shadows from the highlights. And I'm not worried about getting this red like on the pouch or anything again, just because we will cover that up later. And we're going to go like I'm going to use almost like a skeleton white color. Oh, thanks, Doug. It's good to see you again. Almost like a skeleton bone white color for the shirt part. But then it'll get shaded with the wash, so it'll end up looking more brown. Or not brown, but like a very light tan, which I guess could be a shade of brown. Oh, isn't there that group from the 90s? The lighter shade of brown? Probably showing my age by talking about groups from the 90s. This is not anything spectacular. We're just blocking in a solid color that's going to get highlighted and washed over. This paint is behaving strangely, because probably because it's so old. There's like a band on the hat too. We'll take care of that after we get the red taken care of. Because with all the dry brushing with the red, this is going to be the messiest part, and the part that's going to have the potential to get on other parts. Oh, thanks again, Doug. I'm doing like super uh well, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm doing like super basic techniques that uh they're like easy to learn. Is what's that saying? Like easy to learn, but hard to master. And the trick is just keep doing it over and over. Practice, practice, practice. And like, oh, sorry, that probably like blew the mic levels out. But and also like, don't think that you're that everything has to be like competition level perfect paint jobs. Mine definitely aren't. I just like the way they look. And I really love playing board games with painted miniatures. And I give some of my other streamer and YouTube friends, I give them crap sometimes about playing games with non-painted miniatures. Like the joke for the longest time with another YouTuber, Kanjay, was every time I saw him play with an enemy that was unpainted, he had to give the enemy 5 extra hit points. But I've kind of backed myself into a corner that I gave other people so much crap about it that now I now I feel wrong if I play or at least record with unpainted miniatures. I want to make sure I get good coverage on underneath the rim here because with our dry brushing, we probably won't get a whole lot of highlighting underneath the rim here. We'll get the wash on it, but it's, I mean, it probably shouldn't be highlighted. It doesn't have any light shining on it. We'll probably try to do a glowing OSL effect, which is object source lighting, is what that stands for. When we get to the Tinkerer. It's the exceptional Tinkerer, I think, is that miniature, right? Yeah. The Tinkerer has this staff that has this orb, so I'm going to try, we'll see. We might make the orb kind of look like it's glowing when we get to that guy. I have a love-hate relationship with object source lighting because I've done it several times and it either comes out like amazing looking or kind of meh. So that's one that I haven't gotten down completely yet. But when it comes out nice, it's an amazing effect you can have on a miniature. I don't think we need another thin coat up there. Is that part here too? Or yes, it is. Okay. So again, this is just our base, our dark base color. It's going to be good. Are you going to be streaming again, Jubfrog? Did I miss you streaming? All right. I have not done myself any favors by deciding I wanted to try this basing thing before. I'm just gonna have to worry about those knee pads later. They're not gonna stay red like this. But I'm not worried about layering paint on there because this stuff is so thin. It's not gonna like block out any details or anything. What is that? That is shirt. That's not hair. What is that right there? Oh, we're gonna have the tunic, I guess? No, that doesn't make sense. Uh-oh. OBS said it died for a second. Is it still going? Going to David, I realized you're streaming and didn't want. Oh. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to reschedule because of the power outage yesterday. I tell you what, California can't handle any amount of rain. That was weird. I've never had that happen before. Even when I record videos, it said it disconnected and reconnected. That's odd. I don't know what this right here is. It kind of looks like a sash or something, but it doesn't really look like part of the like poncho thing. Could be connected to the thing that's around the neck, I guess. So it's going to end up being the same. I think it'll look fine when we have our really light color next to this. And then our like grayish purple staff thing that we're going to end up with. Okay. Let's make sure that is dry. So you canceled today, Chubb, but you are gonna stream with some of the new stuff. That's gonna be cool. See it in action. It's got to be really hard for them to not spoil the like the adventure part, the path cards and stuff in the story. I'm sure they're just like chomping at the bit, like, oh man, we want you guys to know about this stuff. All right, let's get that out of the way. Yeah, it dropped for a second. Man, I tell you what, for so long, the connection was good, and it rains like a quarter of an inch, and all hell breaks loose. I know, I mean, that's actually maybe a good sign. Like, I'm surprised that it's, they're still saying December, because I think it seems like they've come pretty far on, well, at least on the Ranger cards. Maybe they want to do a whole lot more play testing on the missions and stuff. That one little part that still looks like it's wet a little bit. But we're going to do some dry brushing on the hat and the rest of it. I need some cardboard. So a lot of this is going to get muted down when we put I don't know, actually. Maybe I won't even wash it. We'll see what it looks like when we're done with this dry brush. Definitely gonna have to redo the skin. I might be getting to where I kind of want it to be already, just with this dry brush. Not even needing to worry about washing it. You want a really bright pointy hat. Make sure these folds are coming through. Don't hit the rocks. Normally dry brushing is something you want to do really early, or you got to be super careful because you're gonna get it on everything else. And I'm using a very small brush here. But like it brings out the fold, especially like you can see that line. We've got our fold in the cape back here, the raised part over here. Now let's try to get some on the pants. without totally ruining our basing. We'll have more contrast there when we get a different color on the knee pads. What are you working on, Doug? What are you painting? Oh, this makes me nervous, right around these rocks. Oh, KDM, yeah. Did you see the stuff in the slideshow? The KDM stuff in the slideshow at the beginning? Um, hmm. All kinds of messages popping up. This isn't the best lighting in here. I think the pictures will show more of the detail, but I think this, you can see it pretty good on the back here, the best. I think I'm actually happy with this. It's still a little muted, but there's some nice brightness coming through. So I think I want to put down our next color, contrasting it with a light color next to it. I think it's going to be nice. So let's get our bone white color out. I'm also going to need to clean up those hands and the face. And the face. Where are you, bone white? It just, oh, I already have it out. This is a KDM project over here I've been working on forever, but I finally got my Dragon King base. I don't know if you saw this last time. This is going to be the base for my Dragon King. So I got some of the KDM faces sculpted in. And he's going to be sitting up on these rocks. But that's a project for another time. Too many projects. I need to retire. However, if I retired, it would probably be, it would just turn into more driving of the kids around to their stuff. And you got to work to have money to buy these toys. Oh man, the connection is horrible today. And Andrew likes Kingdom Death Monster. Yes, he is a KDM player. Sorry if it's buffering and having issues, guys. It's just my cable company sucks. ISP or whatever you want to call it. So this is going to look extremely bright, but again, this will get tinted when we put the Agrass Earthshade wash on it. And acrylic paints have a tendency to do what's called drying down, which means that they go on slightly brighter generally than what they're going to dry to. They're I don't know if it's shade is the right word, but they dry slightly darker. Sometimes it's not even possible to tell, but some things you'll notice, like, oh wait, that was super bright when I put it on, and now it's just a little less bright. But like I said, a lot of times you won't even notice. All right, we're going in for a weird angle here. Okay, that done. We'll probably use a different color on the strap this time. I am actually going to paint it with this bone white though, but so when we go over it, not strap, I guess it's like a handle wrap or something on the staff. But we're going to put a different color, maybe even like snakebite leather or something over it, just so that it's not the exact same color as the sleeve that's right next to it. All right, see you later, Chub Frog. The pictures will be up on the Discord probably tonight. I could use my wife's phone to take the pictures because she's got the settings dialed in for how to do good photos. Taking miniature pictures of miniatures it's almost a hobby in of itself. There's lots of hobbies within hobbies in our hobby. In board gaming, you can have painting, and within painting, there's even like 3D printing. I guess that you don't even need to be into painting to do 3D printing because some people 3D print inserts and stuff for board gaming. I don't know if I want to use this as a... I gotta fix the hair area. Sorry if you can't see this. This is another weird angle to get underneath the arm. And try not to hit our tunic thingy too much. Yeah, we gotta do this part. All right. And the knee pads. How big are they? How much of that is knee pad? It looks like this part here for sure. Whoa. Too much water. I need a dry brush. Soaked it up. Oh man, I totally just jabbed that brush into the table. That's not what you want to do with your bristles. There we go. That's much better. I might need to go down a brush size. For this part. I think I might have messed that knee pad up. Let's see what it looks like when it gets the wash put on it. It's hard to tell what's knee pad here and what's pants. Yeah, that knee pad is way too big. So we're just going to come back with our dark color, reshape it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go to a down a brush size. For the strap on the back. I guess it goes all the way around. It's not just on the back. We'll see if washing that repairs the look of it. Looks a little rough. Oh, you know what? There's also that band on the hat. Trying to concentrate. It kind of goes up a little bit. We'll take a look at it here in the art in a second too. That's going to be some targeted highlighting, or not highlighting, washing. Because it's not going to stay that bright. We want this to match the sleeves and the knee pad color that we're going to end up with. Hopefully. This brush that I just moved to is so small that, and you get such little paint on it that sometimes it dries so fast between coming from the palette to the miniature. Okay, now we just need to connect this, make it look right. Right-ish. Some of the rough edging will look better when it gets the wash on it. But we gotta fill this part out right here. That didn't do anything. There's a weird spot in the pewter. There we go. Okay. Do I want to use this as a base color for the hair? I think so. So we're going to have a lot of the same undercoat color, but we'll see the impact on it when we put different top coats of paint on it, or top colors. See, we got some red in the hair from the dry brushing, so we gotta cover that back up before we put our actual, what's going to end up being like reddish brown hair color. Gorg runs a fur. And we gotta get into there by the face. Oops, sorry. And try not to totally hit the rim of our hat. All right. More targeted brush. Okay, so now we got a lot of base colors down. And I also want to use brown for these pouches. That will get washed in the Agrax Earthshade also, so we're going to go to do that right now. So we just put wash over everything that's going to get washed in the same color. It's going to get its base coat on first. That's plenty of that. I just got it all over my fingers. I think I said it last time, it wouldn't be a completed painting session if you didn't get paint everywhere at least once. The bummer is if you, when you get it on your fingers, you don't notice, and then you touch the miniature somewhere and you're like, where did that come from? Oh, it's all over my hand. Great. All right, we got a nice brown set of pouches here. This also has a strap that goes around the other side. So we want to make sure to get that as well. Can't really see it here, but we can see it right there. So let's get that strap that's holding those pouches on. Make it match. Okay, what else? Let's do the... There's kind of like a strap thing hanging down right here too. Just to break up all that red, I'm going to paint that also. That brown color. Let's get the Rhinox hide out for the boots. Is that what I want to do, or do I want to use this brown? The Rhinox hide is kind of dark, similar to that dark red. That's what I'm going for. And sometimes I might not even do highlights, depending, Doug. If I'm trying to like get things done and I think it looks fine, I'm probably not even going to highlight it. Especially like with this set of miniatures, it's kind of got a more, like I've said this word earlier too, like a muted kind of look. So it's like not super super bright. Which I think kind of matches the art style on the cards. Like if you look at this shaper, it's a little more muted, I think. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it sounds Good-ish. Since I've got it out, I think I'm just going to use this same brown on the boots, and then we'll wash the boots with... well, and then see also, Doug, sometimes I use contrast paints or other transparent paints like Army Painter. Army Painter Speed Paints is what that line is called. I use them like a wash because they kind of behave the same way that a wash would. There'll be a good example of that when we get to the staff here in a little bit, because I'm going to use like a gray base coat, and then I'm going to go over it with a top coat of a purple color. And you'll see how you can do interesting things with varying your base coats with the color you decide to put over the base coat. Because most paint lines don't come with a lot of different colors of washes. You certainly can buy them like Games Workshop. I think they call them shades now, not washes. They used to call them washes, but I think that particular set of paints is called shades. And you can certainly get Games Workshop shades in lots of different colors. But I'm kind of like multi-purposing my contrast paints. Or what they were like marketed for is like, going over a very light base coat of white or whatever, like we're going to do with the hair here in a couple minutes. But repurposing them and using them also kind of like a wash. Settling down in the recesses with a darker shade of the color, and leaving the texture and the high points of the area that you're painting a little bit lighter. Oh man, I did a number on myself doing this base first. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking during the first campaign. I mean, because I've been painting miniatures forever. And I actually did not get these miniatures through the Kickstarter. I got everything else. And I even ordered multiples because my friend Derek from Kanji Studios didn't actually get in on the Kickstarter either, so he piggybacked on my pledge manager. And I did not add these for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was lucky enough to order them from Team Covenant. I was happy when they had some on their website. For people like me, oh man, this is, oh, I just painted some of the grass. Oh well, we'll make sure to hit that with the Agrax Earthshade to cover it up. Okay. Base colors down, I think, for quite a few of the parts. All right, let's get the washes out. Let's do the hair first. That'll be fast. We'll do white leather on the hand, on the wrap on the staff. Can't forget to fix the skin either on the hands and the face. Hoping the knee pads come out looking better than they currently do. Okay, this is for the hair. Get in there. Is that enough? You have to make sure you cover up all of the base color or you're going to have little white spots showing, or whatever the base color you put down. It's not that much of a contrast between this and the red that we're using for the tunic. Which I think is fine. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to do like blonde hair. I could have done black hair, but I think this is fine. We'll make it a little bit darker so that some more gets into the recesses. If I wasn't worried about hitting the red tunic, I would probably dry brush that. Or if I was going to spend more time, you could go back and definitely put a highlight of something on the hair. On the individual strands. I think it'll show better in the photos. This is very weird lighting in here. Okay, let's do real quick the wrap on the wrap on the staff. I think I want to do the staff before I fix the hand, just in case I accidentally hit the hand with any of the staff colors. There's our snakebite leather. Snakebite leather, this is a throwback to the old days. There was a paint color I don't even know when they uh, discontinued it, if you can count it as being discontinued. I broke one of the rocks off, I think. I think I did. I think I broke one of the rocks off. Uh-oh. Oh well. It'll be fine. Maybe I can fix it. Anyways, there was a very beloved, just regular acrylic color called snakebite leather that looked a lot like this color. And so this contrast color is a throwback to that old snakebite. Okay, get this shook up. Yeah, there used to be a rock that was floating above this one. I wonder when that came off. There was bound to be a casualty of some kind. All right, I don't want this to be too thick, I don't think. I think we'll see the best effect on all this texture here on the front initially. See some detail start coming back to life. I don't want too much of it to pool, though. I'm going to let it sit there for just a second while I go over this pouch. Come back and grab some with the brush. Grab a little bit out of that recess there. I'll show you in just a second. We'll let this dry for a brief period of time. Yeah, we're not going to have to do any basing today. Just get our light color covered up here. Yeah, see, I wanted to end up with like a, not complete khaki, but this tan color. So the brown shade of the Agrass Earth shade on top of the light base is giving us the tan. The tan sleeves and this little part down here. And our tan knee pads. Then we'll also add some shade to the brown that we put on the boots. This needs to get fixed right here. That needs to get covered up with the dark red. That strap is too big. Gotta be careful with our hat up here. Just bring the color down to that tan. All right, let's hit the boots. Putting it pretty thick on the boots so we can see some. Well, that's too thick, so we'll grab some of that off of there and use it elsewhere. We got to get that little part right there. Do not want to forget about this. All right, that looks better. Um, hmm. We'll let that dry for a second. All right, I have several things here. I'm gonna zoom the camera out for just a second. I don't remember where I got this, but I have it just in this Cool Whip container. It's these little, I think it's painted sponge actually, that I use for bushes. Oops, just bumped the camera. So I have this stuff. That might have been like some from like a model train company or something like that. Here's another one that's a different, like a lighter green. This is a little bit lighter than the other ones, not too much lighter. I use these that I've had forever. They're like grass tufts from Army Painter, I think. This one's jungle. This one's probably like forest green or something. So these are like the grass tuft things. These two things here, I think I got with a with like a brush set or something, some kind of set. This is like grass, so this is some of the grass that's on here. And then this is like moss or lichen or something. Maybe it's also sponge. There's different colors, but this came with like a brush thing. So this stuff is what's on this rock back here. Another army painter thing. This I got for super cheap from a store that was closing when I lived down in Southern California. This is Woodland Scenics. This is definitely like stuff that people would use for model trains and like basing, doing like big boards. So this is like fine turf. So this grass in this thing is what's the dark stuff on here that we'll see when we zoom back in. So lots of different foliage options. And then like on quiet here, that's just a real stick. Like a real little piece of a tree branch or something that was dried. You have to make sure if you're going to be using real wood that it's like completely dry before you put it on a base. Or you might have some warping or even maybe some molding or something inside. You don't want to use wet stuff. We do not have a whole lot of different colors. Well, let's see what happens when we paint the staff, because the staff is going to introduce like some grayish purple. Because what I want to try to achieve, let's zoom back in. So for a lot of the things, I just use kindergartner glue or like PVA glue, whatever, Elmer's. Like this one's called school glue for like the bushy things, but for like the grass tufts, yeah, and like for this grass that's on here, that's just PVA glue put down, and then you sprinkle the stuff on top. But I use super glue for the grass tufts, a little tiny dab. You don't want to go overboard with the super glue because if that spreads out, super glue dries shiny. So you don't want that. But this stuff dries and it's pretty much see-through. Or doesn't. If you don't use too much of it, it doesn't end up being shiny. Okay, so what I want to try to achieve with the staff, as close as possible, we'll reference our photo here. It's kind of purple. It's kind of grayish purple here. So we're gonna try some things. I want to use the lightest gray I can. I have something that's called cold gray. I'll probably do it. That's not it. That's not even gray. Here. So we're going to go with this, but that light's really washing that out. This is like a super light gray. Do I want to use Pro? What is this one? No. Bright warm gray. Which one is lighter? This one's almost white. We're going to try this one. I don't know how this is going to look. I do something very similar to this when I want to do like a like a monster's tongue or something, or like a rat tail, but I'll use flesh as the undercoat and then this purple contrast color over top of it, and it comes out looking pretty cool, actually. Okay, what's going on here? Oh man, I've had some of these paints for so long. It's time to retire some of them, I think. And I think I say that every time I use them too. The paint like landed on the lid. We're gonna take paint off of the lid of my homemade wet palette. So we'll definitely end up with some purple. I just don't know how much of the gray is going to come through with what we're going to do here. But part of this hobby is experimenting. And it's usually not too hard to fix. Usually. As long as you're not putting paint on too thick, you can always just go over it again. With something else. Or you can realize that you have 900 other miniatures in line to paint and be like, you know what? I think it looks good enough. I've got so many miniatures. I think I've got enough for my kids to have a lifetime of miniatures to paint. I'm gonna have to come back and fix this hand, so I'm not too worried. I'm still trying to be careful. So I don't have to fix the whole hand, then I won't. But we definitely got some red on the front when we did the dry brushing earlier. That needs to get covered up. And the nose, the nose is just slightly red. Okay. Gray. I guess this is technically a conduit, right? Probably. Since we're painting our shaper today. Okay. Now this is a very thin coat of acrylic, so this should dry. I mean, most of it's already dry. They do want to just give it a second before we put the purple on it. All right. Now this is interesting. Do I want to use this one or do I want to use this one? Well, that dries a little bit. Let's do a test on the paper towel. That one's still a little bit darker. It gets a little more coverage. I still think this Magos purple is probably going to be better. So we can try to get some gray still showing through. Yep. Going with the tried and true. So this is Magos purple. That's going to need some time to dry before I can work on the hand. Interesting to see, because this is going to look a little bit different after it dries too, so I want to really see where we end up with this effect. It's not going to look too much different, but it could look a little bit different. It looks more gray in person than what I can see coming through on the phone. Which I kind of like. Yeah, because on there it looks really purple. I almost wonder what what a wash of apothecary white would look like over that. I don't know, we'll see how it looks in the photos, and I wish it would try taking this down one. It's coming through super purple through the phone, but I can see more gray in person. But our source material here also looks pretty purple. There are some interesting like spots, like pink spots. I don't know if those are like light spots. We don't always have to match the source material though. I might actually do some edge highlighting of the red. Let's get the flesh color out though. So I can at least put it on the face. edge highlighting can be a tricky business in itself. All right. Flesh color back on the hand. Then we have a flesh wash that we put over this. It's not going to end up staying this bright. One little spot by the face that I almost really want to be the hair color, which is not as bright, I guess. All right, we'll see if that helps. The final product. We'll let that dry for a second. Just doing edge highlight on the hat. I think I'm going to pick out some of these folds on the front here too. Ooh, there's a big drop of water. Oh, it's so reflective. You guys probably can't even see anything changing. It'll definitely come through in the photos though. This is a very weird setup with this camera because sometimes I feel like it does really good job, and other times, like right now, I can't seem to find the right lighting and stuff. Just doing a little bit more highlighting here that's going to add to the contrast of the end product. Let's edge highlight the back. Oh, that's not too much paint. Make this fold even more prominent. This is very subtle, but I think it's actually going a long ways to add to the contrast. There's too much paint. Let's see what we got to work with up front here. It looks very bright right now, but that's going to dry down. He says with hopeful confidence. I think those couple little highlights will go a long ways in the final photos, final look. Yeah, we ended up with a nice purple, but not overly purple staff. We got to put the flesh wash back on the face and the hands. If I can find it. There it is. Maybe we'll highlight the pouch a little bit too. Try to help it look a little more interesting. Okay. Flash fixed. Let's see if we can use that same brown color. I don't think this is bright enough. Let's go a little crazy with it. There are just some little edge highlights on the front of that there. Front of that pouch and the top of the other little pouch. It's not coming through the best, I don't think, for you guys, but again, I've said this like 1,800 times in the last couple of minutes, but I think that'll come through great in the photos. And it looks great right now in person too. Brings it more close to what's going on here. So now I wonder. I think for a basic, what are we at? Like an hour and a half. Hour and a half paint job. I think it looks pretty good. This is the little plastic part. Take it off. I want to go around the base of that rim again with the Pro Acro color. The paint job on this part was looking a little uneven. I don't know. I don't know what else to do unless I want to change a color somewhere. And again, trying to keep these within a certain time frame, not spending forever and ever and ever on each individual one. Let's get it off of the holder. See what our whole team looks like here. I could probably angle this down. Sorry for the motion and the movement here. We're trying to get a good look at the group. But I'll be putting some pictures up on Discord, like I said. That is where we are. Gonna move it back up here again just for a second. Apologize again. I think that's gonna do it for a Thursday evening. Hour and 40-ish minutes. I'll probably work on the rest of the Tinkerer here. And like I said, we'll try to do an OSL like glowing effect on this stone that's in the, or whatever that is, that's in the staff. The plan for this one is going to be pretty close to the artwork here. We'll end up with a very similar tan color on the cape and probably the pants, and then a darker color, a dark brown for the shirt and the boots. We'll try to do the mask maybe like in a blue. But we'll definitely get some foliage on this one to round out the way the base looks. We still got to dry brush some gray onto the rock because it's just been washed, and we should dry brush a little bit of tan or earth color onto the base here. And that'll be the last Ranger. I don't know if I'm going to do any more accessory miniatures like the ones in the back there for the first set, but we'll see what we get spoiled, if we get any more spoilers in the new stuff. We saw some of the spirits yesterday. They were looking really cool. All the cards that were shown yesterday, I was like, oh man, just makes me want to play even more. Hopefully I'll have time. There was so much stuff going on, and I was so sick during the first part of the winter. It's been a bad winter for illnesses in my house between me and my kids. But that's going to do it. I'm going to go inside and take some pictures of these things, see how the kids are doing. But I'll schedule another one. So thanks for hanging out, Doug. And post some pictures of the stuff you're working on the Discord too. It's always fun to see what other folks are painting. And I think it's also encouraging too to get like positive reinforcement on the stuff that you're working on. So, okay, well, thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.